Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Diary of a Trader. The last video I did was over how to identify where to place a stop, and this video is going to be over profit targets. Now, there are a myriad of ways to identify where a profit target could be at and how to find them on a candlestick chart, but I really struggle to find a method that does as good of a job as identifying a profit target as point and figure does, because it is very, very easy. All right, it's going to sound a little wordy, it sounds confusing, but it's really not. So let's say we're looking at this pound dollar here, and let's say I was trading around this area, so I didn't see anything past this column of O's. All right, and I want to know, okay, if I get a long trade, if I get to go long here, where would my profit target be? If I enter here, where could I identify profit? Or if I was looking over here and I was taking a short and I didn't see anything beyond this column of X's, if I thought, okay, if I get a short signal at the break of this double bottom at 124.40, that O right there where that orange line is at, that's where my entry would be. Where's my profit target? This is very simple to do. Okay? How we do this is we count the number. So if we're going to identify a short profit target, all we do is we count the number of O's in the prior column. All right, the prior O column here. So again, I'm saying if I've not seen anything else past this column of X's, I'm going to find this prior column of O's. I'm going to count the number of O's are in there. All right, and then I'm going to multiply by the box size. Okay, so my box size here is 20 pips. Okay, and then I take that number by the reversal amount. Okay, so I take the number of O's, multiply it by the number of pips in the box size amount, which is 20 pips, and then I multiply that again by the reversal amount, which is 3. Okay, and then what I do is I subtract that number from the highest X in that column of X's. All right, so basically this is what happens. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 O's. So I'm going to take 5, multiply it by my box size, which is 20 pips. That gives me 100 pips. I'm going to multiply that again by 3. That is 300 pips. I'm going to take that number and subtract it by the X. Now, nice thing is I can look up open, high, low, close. So right here, all I need to do, just remember 300. What's the high? It's at 25.20. So I'll just type in 25.20 minus 300. My profit target is at 122.20. If we want to see where that is at, I would just say 122.20. That would be my profit target from that short. How many profit targets? How many pips of profit would that be? Be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'd be 200 pips worth of profit. Okay. Now on the long side of it, we do the same thing. Okay. That's all we do. We just do the inverse. If we want to say, okay, where's a long target? Like we could use right here. All right. There's 4. A lot of these you can probably just do in your head. So if I'm going to do a long side here, I see there's 4 X's. Multiply that by the box amount, which is 2. That's 2. So there's 80 pips. Multiply that by 3, that's 240. And then what I do there is I add 240 to the lowest O right here, okay? So I'm going to add 240 to the low of this O column, which is at 2780. And that brings me to 130.20. That would be my target. And so from my entry, that would be a whopping 60 pips worth of profit, okay? Now, you're going to run into situations where you're going to see things like this. You're going to see, okay, well, you're going to see columns that show up that are, you'd be comparing them against, like right here. You'd have like a 20 pip column. And so sometimes you got to be realistic. If the profit target is like 800 pips away, you're probably not going to get 800 pips in one swing. Not saying that it can't happen, because it can. It's just that next column is probably not going to last 800 pips. It certainly could. I mean, if we look at, this might be one where, well, I know this is one where I took profit well before the bottom of this zone was reached. But, on the current pound pair, I know that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 O's. I multiply that by 20, multiply that by 3. Okay, 420 pips. And I'm going to subtract 420 pips from that X right there, okay? So we've got that X is at 3,400 minus 420, 129.80. That would have been my profit target. Would it have reached? It didn't reach it. It got pretty close, though. Okay? It was 40 pips away. But I hope that gives you kind of a good idea of how really, really, really effective and how powerful point and figure is in identifying a profit target. Now, the other great thing about this is that if you know there's a profit target a significant distance away from the entry, well, that again, you don't have to plan for it not reaching it, but you could take your position. And let's say you take a full lot. Well, why don't you separate it into 3 or 4 different profit targets, okay? If it's 400 pips away, hypothetically, take a quarter of the position at 100 pips, another quarter of the position at 200, another quarter of the position at 300, and let the rest of it just run. See how far it runs. If it comes back down to break even, cool. If it goes a little further, awesome. But you don't have to take that trade entry and identify that profit target and take only one position, all right? You can separate it out. Now, I know some people want to know something a little bit more simpler. I think that's very simple, but something more traditional, like on a candlestick chart, all right? On a candlestick chart, if we're going to use the Ichimoku system, this is a little different. So let's say we're looking to, let's say we go short. Let's just assume, let's say price falls down here. Where would I enter short? I would enter short if price were to go for the next few days. Let's say I entered short at 68.57. Where would my profit target be? I go 68.57. Where would I look at my profit target? Your profit target is going to want to be established by some type of future resistance or support. All right. When you have a situation like this chart where currently you're very, very much long biased, you don't see any resistance on the daily, or on the hourly, the 4 hour, or the daily, then you want to look at the weekly to see where resistance is at. Because if you were long, your profit target would be at the bottom of the cloud there. But if I was going to go short, where would my profit target be? It would be at the bottom of the cloud, or the top of the cloud here. I would wait for price to come down to the top of the cloud. So that profit target would be pretty limited. We'd go from 68.57 down to 68.43. That's where that profit target would be located. So those are just some options. But otherwise, the point and figure option, I think is very clear, very concise, very easy to do. And you should not have a huge problem finding stops and profits using point and figure. You can use it in conjunction with your candlestick charts. So anyways, I hope you found this video useful, and I look forward to speaking with you in our future videos.